Okay.
Well, welcome everyone to Council's October Ordinary Meeting. Again, this meeting is being broadcast via Council's website, and I wish everyone who is viewing this a very good evening, and I hope you are all doing well. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting and the lands to where tonight's broadcast reaches. We also pay our respects to their elders and to elders from other communities who may be in attendance. So as I said, tonight we'll be holding a virtual meeting for Buloke Shire Council, and throughout the meeting, councillors must be able to see and be seen, hear and be heard. To ensure we are meeting these guidelines, we will commence with a roll call of councillors to establish they are fully connected. So from Lower Avoca Ward, Deputy Mayor Councillor David Pollard.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I can see you and I can see everyone else and hear everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Councillor Bronwyn Simpson.
Good evening, Caroline. Yes, I can see and hear everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. From the Mallee Ward, Councillor David Viff.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, yeah, I can see and hear everyone.
Thank you. And also from the Mallee Ward, Councillor Alan White.
Yes, thank you. I can see and hear everyone.
Thank you. And from Mount Jeffcott Ward, Councillor Graham Mill.
Madam Mayor, I can see everybody and hear everybody. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Milne. And Councillor Darryl Warren.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow councillors. Yes, I can see and hear everybody.
Excellent. Thank you. And I can also see and hear everybody. If a conflict of interest is declared tonight, the councillors who has the conflict will be removed from the meeting completely for that item and be reinstated after that item has been dealt with before the meeting can proceed. Councillors will vote by showing their hands, making sure their raised hand is within shot. If any councillor or councillors lose connectivity during the meeting will be suspended until connection is restored for all councillors. If council's broadcast of the council meeting experiences technical difficulties and drops out, the meeting will be adjourned for 30 minutes to re-establish connection. We also note that council is currently in caretaker mode, and the confirmation by the CEO that all reports on this agenda are not prohibited decisions as defined in clause 3 of the election period policy. So with that, we'll move on to item 2 of the agenda, the receipt of apologies. We have all councillors here, so we have no apologies to record. So I'll move on to item 3, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Can I please have somebody to move that council adopts the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on Wednesday the 9th of September 2020, please?
I can move that, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I had a few there, but Councillor Warren had his hand up first, so Councillor Warren to move. Sorry. Sorry, I just need to make sure my pen's working. And Councillor Pollard, I think, was next, so he can second. Is there anyone opposed to that motion? No? Excellent, thank you. So motion carried. Item 4, request for leave of absence. Do we have any requests? No? Excellent. Item 5, declaration of pecuniary and conflicts of interest. Do we have any declarations?
At this time, Madam Mayor.
Yep. Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Warren. All right, so we'll move on to, we don't have questions from the public, so we'll move on to our procedural items. So item 7.1, report of assembly of councillor meetings. Can I please have somebody to move that council note the report of assembly of councillor meetings held on the 2nd of September 2020 and the 16th of September 2020, please? Councillor Simpson to move and Councillor Milne to second. Do we have anyone opposed to that motion? No? Excellent. Motion carried. Item 7.2, letters of congratulations and recognition of achievements or awards. We don't have any listed. Do we have any that need to be added? No? Okay, then we'll move on from that item. We'll move on to item 7.3, correspondence initiated by council. Can I please have somebody to move that council notes the record of correspondence initiated by council and the responses received, please?
Happy to do
Councillor White to move and Councillor Viz to second. Do we have anyone opposed to that motion? No, excellent, thank you. Motion carried. Item 7.4, building permits monthly update. Can I please have somebody to move that council notes the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff from the 1st of September 2020 to the 30th of September 2020, please? Councillor Simpson to move and Councillor Pollard to second. Is there anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
No, excellent, thank you. Motion carried. Item 7.5, planning applications received monthly update. Can I please have somebody move that council notes the information contained in the report on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications, please? Councillor Warren to move. And seconder. Councillor Milne to second. Thank you. Is there anyone opposed to the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
No, excellent. Motion carried. Okay, so we'll move on to item 8.2.1, Buloke Shire Council Year 4 Annual Plan Progress Report. Mr. Judd, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report follows the adoption of the annual plan in July at the July ordinary meeting. As per previous years, staff will report quarterly to Council on the progress and tracking against those actions identified. Being the first report, there is a lot of actions in progress, but some pleasing things are to be reported. The State of the Children's report has been completed in partnership with the North Central Glen, and that will be presented at a upcoming briefing to this council next week. The contracts have been awarded for the riverfront projects in Donald and Charlton. The waste strategy has been completed and implementation has commenced, and we have had more successful road funding through the Birchip-Berwick Road for our heavy freight links, and also an application in for the Nullawal-Birchip Road as well. This report is presented to Council for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do we have any comments or questions? Councillor Warren?
Look, just comments, I suppose, or two comments. I notice in regard to the tourism opportunities, in the comments section, asbestos removal and site preparation, sue to commence in November. I take it that we're not being sued currently, but if we don't get rid of the asbestos, we might be. I think it needs to be just tidied up. And just the one above that, practical completion, and just a definition of practical, please. Does that mean it's almost, or is it ready, etc.? Practical. It's an interesting word.
Yeah, practical completion is a term that's in construction contracts, so it's a contractual term, and it's when the site is effectively handed back to council, usually the commencement of a defects period. So typically at that point, the site will be open, and obviously noting Lake Tyrrell, there's two key kind of geographically separate points. So typically it is when the site is open, but it's a specific term in a contract.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do we have any further questions or comments? No? Okay. Well, then can I please have somebody to move that council notes the progress made to deliver the strategic objectives noted in the adopted Year 4 annual plan for the Buloke Council Plan 2017 to 2021, please. Councillor Viz to move, and a seconder. Oh, Councillor Pollard to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
Excellent, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, so we'll move on to our financial report. So item 8.3.1, financial performance report as at the 31st of August 2020. Mr. Judd, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the first financial report presented to Council for this financial year. I think the report highlights some pretty significant matters, particularly in the table highlighted budget reconciliation. So since the draft budget was adopted in May, Council has received a significant amount of stimulus funding, which has changed the budget outlook, and that is particularly presented through the different programs such as Working for Victoria, the streetscape funding through RDV, the $1.6 million from the federal government through the local roads and community infrastructure program. So that's the Tower Road, the street lighting programs, and also lighting up Buloke. So these changes will be reflected in our reporting going forward, but this is the first report that notes those changes. Given the report has been set at 30, or this is a report at 31 August, at that point, rates haven't been struck yet. So you'll note that and hence the comments around deficit, because there's no rates struck, and also the fact that the first payment of the federal assistance grants was in June rather than July. So despite this strong bank balance at this point in time of close to $17 million, however, obviously a lot of that earmarked for some of our big capital works programs going forward. Councillors, we present this for you to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do we have any comments or questions? No? Okay, thank you. Then can I please ask for somebody to move that Council receives and notes the financial performance report for the month ending 31st of August 2020, please? Councillor White to move and Councillor White to second. Thank you. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Motion carries. We don't have any organisational reports listed. However, I do believe, Mr. Judd, you wanted to make a note there.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We don't have necessarily a CEO report, but where they are required, we put them in organisational reports. So really, the staff get the opportunity to publicly acknowledge the work of councillors, and being the last ordinary meeting of your 4-year term, it is apt that we do that. The role of a councillor is significant. 4 years is a big commitment, and our staff have been working back about the 4 years that was, and there'll be a presentation at the appropriate time around some of the achievements, and there certainly has been a lot of work done. So on behalf of all staff, to the 7 councillors, and also John Shaw, who served part of this term as well, we thank you for the work, and we thank you and your families for your commitment to council. All the best for the future, whether it be on council or off council. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Judd.
Thanks, Anthony. See you soon.
Okay, we'll move on to item 8.5 then, which is reports from councillors. Does anyone have a report to make? Oh, Councillor Pollard?
Yes, Madam Mayor. As its last council meeting thing, I'd like to thank our staff for the fantastic work that they've done in the previous 4 years. What we've achieved in the last 4 years has been not sure, blooming amazing or incredible. I'm not sure how you describe it, but well done, and thanks to the staff and Mr. Judd for the huge effort that they've put in for those last 4 years. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Pollard, and here. Anyone else have any reports? No? Okay. We don't have any matters which may exclude the public. We don't have any other any urgent business or any other business listed, but we do have a motion of thanks to our retiring councillor.
Through the chair, before the Mayor, I do notice usually at this point of the meeting we have questions from councillors. Has that been omitted, or because of caretaker we're not allowed to ask questions?
Yeah, through the Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Warren. I should have let you finish your question there. Through the Mayor, yeah, as part of the caretaker provisions, notices of motions and questions from councillors, anything that could be deemed as a platform for an election has been omitted to reduce that risk of, I guess, non-compliance with our caretaker policy. It will resume at the November meeting, both of those aspects. So it's only a temporary omission.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Judd. Okay, so item 9.3, a motion of thanks. So given that it is Councillor Ellen White's last meeting, I'd like to acknowledge her for her contribution to council and the community across 3 council terms. First elected in 2008 and the subsequent 2 elections, Ellen has served the Mallee ward in exemplary fashion. Her passion for rural communities was at the heart of all she did and all she achieved as councillor. She was always prepared to get out and meet with constituents and listen, and was a regular at town forum meetings across her ward. Ellen drove many causes and projects that have helped and will continue to help shape Buloke as an accessible, progressive and inclusive community. Ellen has been able to use her strengths across a number of organisations, and as a representative of the Buloke and Northern Grampians Landcare Network, Central Murray Regional Transport Forum, Buloke Library Advisory Committee, Economic Development and Tourism Committee, and the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, among others. Last year, Ellen received the conferral of 10 years Councillor Service Award from the Municipal Association of Victoria. As she is not contesting the upcoming council elections, this motion is being put to consider to congratulate Councillor White on her 12 years of service to the community, and a presentation of gift of thanks to her reflective of her beloved Mallee ward will be forthcoming when restrictions allow so. So with that, can I please have somebody to move that council thanks the retiring councillor, Councillor Ellen White, for her 12 years of service to Buloke Shire Council? Sorry, sorry, Councillor Viz to move and Councillor Pollard to second. Do we have anyone wishing to speak to that motion? Councillor Pollard? You'll need to unmute you.
I didn't look at my screen. I'd like to thank Councillor White for the 12 years that she's put into council. It's been great working with Councillor White, and a lot of the humanity issues that she used to bring to council, I think it was fantastic, because I aren't on top of them as well as Councillor White was, and thanks very much for bringing them into the council chamber.
Thank you,
all the best into the future.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. If there's no one else wishing to speak to the motion, I'll ask Ellen if she would. Oh, Councillor Viz, are you unmuting yourself to say a few words, or were you already unmuted? Oh, okay, thank you. I'll ask if Ellen wants to respond.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Stewart. I would like to respond to that. And that list of achievements that you just read out there, it's no wonder that I'm feeling a wee bit tired tonight. So thank you for that, and thank you for the reminder of some of the things that I have done. The last 12 years have been exciting, they've been exhilarating, they've been interesting, challenging, and the steepest learning curve that I've ever been on. It's not until I became a councillor that I understood the breadth and depth of the work that council does. It is so much more than raising rates to fix roads and collect rubbish. The expectations of our communities need to be met within the 140 plus other functions of councils. I often wondered how we would comply with our requirements as a council, as well as manage the many community projects that we successfully applied for funding for. But thanks to the community consultations, the engagement and the robust discussions around the council chamber, we have achieved so much in the last 12 years. Even with the millennium drought, the biggest flood in 200 years affecting much of the Shire, and subsequent extreme weather events piling on to continually challenge us. Some of those achievements are worth a mention: the Berrywillock Community Centre, improvements at each recreational lake and Lake Tyrrell, new kinders and childcare centres, and something that's very close to my heart, better library services, and of course our new and improved sports centres right across the Shire. From a social justice perspective, our inclusiveness plan has formalised our approach to gender equity, family violence, flying the rainbow flag, and making sure we include everyone in our decision making. As I leave council, the process to develop our very first climate change strategy is underway as well, which will acknowledge what we have already done and provide a plan for mitigation and for the future climate change challenges. I'm retiring from council because my personal philosophy is that 3 terms on anything is enough. After that, it is time for new ideas and new thoughts to come into the process. So I wish the new council, when it is formed, all the best for the future. So thank you to the current and past councillors for making decisions with the best interests of the Buloke communities at heart. Our disconnection because of COVID has meant that we've had to connect remotely in the last 6 months, but as always, Buloke has risen to that challenge and we have overcome it. And I think our meetings have been amazing considering the connectivity issues that we often face in our part of the world. Thank you to the 4 previous CEOs and our current CEO, Anthony Judd, and his staff for their professionalism and diligence in advising council, ensuring compliance, being innovative, developing homegrown talent where possible to not only build an intelligent and forward-thinking and hard-working staff body, but for their dedication to building a better Buloke. And I absolutely love that tagline that you have on your social media posts. It is just wonderful. Thank you also to the Buloke communities and people for their feedback, conversations, discussions, ideas and support for the area. I'd specifically like to thank the people of the Mallee ward for their support, their encouragement and their trust in the last 12 years to advocate to all levels of government on their behalf. It's been a wonderful learning. It's been wonderful learning what makes the Mallee ward tick. And if I could, I'd bottle their stoicness, their resilience and work ethic and sprinkle it in other places right across the world, because it is just amazing what you can do in all those small communities. Thank you also to all of the people who have risen to the challenge to provide food for me at hundreds of meetings. I appreciate the care that's been taken to meet my gluten-free and vegetarian requirements and congratulate all of you on your culinary skills. I know it was a challenge for some, but I'm still here. Thank you also to my friends who have supported me in the last 12 years. By listening, laughing, and keeping me honest. I think I need them now. Keeping me honest. A special shout out to Sandra, Julie, Lindsay, Linda, and Heather. But there's many, many more that I could mention as well. And lastly, thank you to my husband, John. It's not always been easy, especially when he needed someone to shift paddocks with him or to bring home a part at a particular time. And I see many smiles on the screen now, because I'm sure we can all relate. Our partners, our families are really important in making us being able to contribute to local government, and they must be thanked as often as possible. So thank you, John. We're through it intact, and your support has been invaluable. So thank you to all of you, thank you to all of the staff, and thank you to everyone across the Buloke. Thank you.
And thanks for making us volunteer. Yeah, so thank you. Oh, I better ask if there's anyone opposed to the motion first. No, absolutely not. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So motion carried. So yes, thank you, Alan, for your work and your support, and all the best for your future endeavours. And with
thank you.
And with that, we bring the meeting to a close. So thank you all for attending. And the next meeting will, is that correct now, that date? I'm not sure now.
We might say to be advised. Yeah, we will be discussing this with the new council.
Yes, excellent. All right. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, we'll see you in the new council